Hello everyone and welcome to Battle of the Beast Reptile Rampage episode number 30. I'm Adam and this is the last battle of the semi-finals, and then after that, the grand final. So with these two beasts fighting out for that last spot in the finals, what I can say about these two beasts is that they're going to give a good battle. They're going to give it all their might to try and win. And if I can say anything else, this probably should have been the final battle. And that's because both of these beasts deserve to be in the finals. Probably more than the other two beasts. But then again, in my summary video, both of these beasts are fighting. I gave the highest percentage chance to win the whole thing. And now that's going to be shot out the window. Anyway, let's introduce the beasts. Representing Series 1, where it all began. This beast is mostly known for his impressive run in the Old Generation tournament, finishing in the final 3 and being defeated by Torpix the Twisting Serpent. He then took a run in the All Generation tournament and got eliminated in the top 20 by Stritor the Skeleton Dragon. So with that, he's had two rather strong runs in both tournaments, actually. And now he's on to make another strong one. But will it end here or will it end in the next episode with him with the trophy? Well, he's got 2 battles to do to get the trophy, and 1 more battle to even decide if he's going to make it into the finals. I'm talking about Ferno the Fire Dragon versus his opponents. Representatives from Series 7, The Lost World. This beast has also taken part in the Old Generation tournament and did 1 step better than Ferno. He made it into the final round of the Old Generation tournament before losing to Torpix. He then took his chances at the All Generation tournament, where he finished in the top 3. So this beast is arguably one of the most consistent beasts to participate in this tournament. And being eliminated in this round would slightly tarnish his reputation a little bit, but that's because he didn't make it to the final. That's because he wouldn't be able to make it to the finals. But if he does make it to the finals, that'll make him a 3-time finalist. Will he win it though? That's a proper question. But I'm of course talking about Krestor, the Crushing Terror. So with Ferno versus Krestor here, these are the beasts that I would have thought should be the final battle. If not, it would have been Krestor versus Stritor or Ferno versus Stritor. And that's because these two beasts have made it incredibly close to winning before. Twice in this one's case. And I think the best arena for this one is the Fallen Kingdom arena. I think they've earned it. So with that, let's get to the stats. Ferno the Fire Dragon. In caves in the south by Avantia's winding river lurks Ferno the Fire Dragon. Ferno is so enormous he has been mistaken for one of the mountains. The Fire Dragon patrols the river and makes sure that the southern towns of the kingdom are never flooded. Should the waters rise, he can use his clawed feet to build protective dams. Their sudden appearances confuse the locals, but they are very grateful for them. Age 288, Power 212, Magic level 180, Fright Factor 91, Size 465. Powers and abilities: Fire Breath, Flight, Enhanced Strength, Enhanced Speed, Enhanced Durability, Natural Weaponry, Limited Camouflage, and Poison Immunity. Weaknesses are Enchantments and Durability Limits. Krestor the Crushing Terror. This beast has the neck of a serpent coated in green scales with powerful legs and webbed claws that propel him through the water. Krestor's red eyes can search out prey in the gloomiest depths. The beast's snaking coils can squeeze the life out of his victims. His other deadly weapons are the jagged spines along his back. They can shoot acid strong enough to melt flesh and bone. Age 313, Power 240, Magic level 167, Fright Factor 83, Size 373. Powers and abilities: Natural Weaponry, Webbed Feet, Underwater Breathing, Acid Manipulation, Enhanced Durability, Constriction, and Limited Camouflage. Weaknesses is Land Movement Limit. Okay, so with the stats department done for both Ferno and Krestor, it's time to get into the battle. As I said, it'll be the Fallen Kingdom arena, and with that being said, Ferno versus Krestor. Let's get into this. As the chamber doors open, Krestor immediately makes his way out into the center of the arena, roars into the arena, and looks around the battlefield to see what kind of terrain he's dealing with today. He sees the Fallen Kingdom arena, and he thinks nothing of it because his last battle was in the Fallen Kingdom arena as well. Ferno comes out through the sky exit, roars into the arena with his wings spread out to show just how big of a beast he is. Krestor looks unfazed by this. He's tackled dragons like him before. What's the difference between this one? As both beasts lock eyes with each other, Ferno immediately comes down onto the ground as they circle around the arena, staring each other down, trying to see who will be brave enough to strike first. And with that question, there was an answer. Ferno immediately shoots out a jet of fire directly towards Krestor. Krestor leans back out of the way for the fire to hit the wall behind him, leaving a faint scorch mark. And as Krestor turns back round to see Ferno's charging up towards him, using his wings to wrap himself around Krestor, tackling Krestor to the ground. As Krestor uses his claws to stab at Ferno's torso area, digging his claws into him as he's using his head to just headbutt Ferno away from him. Eventually, Krestor uses his claws to push Ferno's wings open, giving Krestor a chance to back out away from the embrace that Ferno got him in. And right before Krestor can use his head in all his power to swing towards Ferno, Ferno's already taken off to the sky to get out of reach of Krestor. Krestor roars in anger over this, bows his head, and shoots acid out of the back of his neck through his spikes to hopefully hit Ferno. As Ferno sees the acid coming up, he shoots fire directly down onto it, causing the acid to explode. Immediately, Krestor cuts the acid out and dives out of the way before the explosion finishes where Krestor would have been. As Krestor is trying to think of a way to get Ferno, he decides that it might be best to throw rocks instead of shoot acid. So what Krestor does, he picks up nearby boulders with his claws and chucks them directly towards Ferno. He chucks multiple towards Ferno. Ferno's dodging them left, right, and side, flying around them, dodging them ever so gracefully. For such a big object, he's dodging the rocks almost effortlessly. However, what Ferno failed to notice was that the location of where his tail was. Krestor noticed that Ferno's tail has been slowly lowering and coming down closer to him, and Krestor, with a rock in his claws, ready to throw it, he throws it towards Ferno and immediately hoists his entire body up, stretching out his neck as far as it can go, and snaps onto Ferno's tail whilst Ferno was distracted by the rock. Immediately, Krestor pulls Ferno down with all his weight, and using his claw, he grabs Ferno by the base of his neck and slams him into the floor of the arena. As Krestor lets go of Ferno's tail, he roars in his face as Ferno roars right back at him, shooting fire directly towards Krestor. Krestor bows his head down and lets the fire just bounce effortlessly off his scales, almost like it did nothing to him. Krestor lifts up his head and batters his head down onto where Ferno's head was, but Ferno was able to roll his head out of the way, with Krestor's head just barely missing him. Using one of his claws, Ferno was able to slash at Krestor's claw, so causing Krestor to recoil back in pain as Ferno was able to get away. But before Ferno is able to take to the sky again, Krestor immediately regains himself and, using his claw, slashes right towards Ferno's side. But instead of actually hitting the side of his torso, he actually makes 3 gash marks going through one of Ferno's wings. As Ferno tries to take to the sky, he feels lopsided and immediately crashes into a dilapidated building in the arena. As Ferno comes out of the rubble, He inspects his wing and sees 3 gash marks going right down from the top to the bottom of the wing. Ferno looks back at Krestor, and Krestor is just flexing his claws, smiling menacingly towards Ferno. Ferno roars in anger over this and charges up towards him, having a new plan for what he can use his wings for. As Krestor charges up towards Ferno to actually be ready to tackle him this time, Ferno dives out of the way and dives to the side, and using his wings, he flaps it right over Krestor's eyes, causing him a temporary blindness as Ferno uses one of his talons and slashes towards the side of Krestor's neck. Krestor roars in pain over this as he uses his claw to cover up the wound, only to pull his claw back and see his green claw is now soaked in red. As Krestor roars in anger over this, he snaps towards Ferno and also bit down onto Ferno's tail. This time, Krestor pulls Ferno right up to him and using his claw pins Ferno's body down to the ground as Krestor continues to bite onto Ferno's tail. With so much force, he's able to bite right through the base of the tail, towards the end of the tail where Ferno's body is, and pull with all his might, breaking Ferno's tail off completely. Ferno roars in pain over this, and immediately goes to bite onto Krestor's claw that's pinning him down, only for Krestor's other claw to push Ferno's head away from him whilst Krestor was doing that. Eventually, Krestor lets go and sees that Ferno is now very slowly moving around on just his 2 legs, inspecting his injury on his tail, or what was his tail, sees that he's leaving a trail of blood wherever he goes. Whilst Ferno was distracted by that, Krestor immediately makes his way over to Ferno with his claws to uppercut Ferno. Ferno is able to turn around just in time, and using his already damaged wing, he deflects the blow from hitting his neck or his face, but the gash marks slice right through that same wing. But as Krestor realized he was slashing through the wing, he quickly re-angles his claw, grabs onto the top part of Ferno's wing, and then holding it in his tightest grip, he bites onto it and snaps the wing by forcing his claw downwards whilst keeping his head up. As Ferno roars in pain over this and now has a wing which is just sagged down onto the floor, Ferno looks at Krestor, and all Ferno can do is bite down onto Krestor's neck, causing more blood to start gushing out of Krestor's neck. Krestor, in retaliation, shoots acid through his spikes, causing acid to start raining down on both of them. This time, with Ferno not quick enough to stop biting Krestor and shoot fire up to the acid, Ferno feels the rain of acid land directly on him as he feels his scales starting to burn off almost immediately. Ferno roars in pain over this and breathes fire directly onto Krestor. Krestor takes a deep breath, embraces the fire, and continues to charge himself right towards Ferno, lifting up his neck and smashing his head right into Ferno's head, knocking Ferno onto the floor. As Ferno gets up, very winded by this, Krestor immediately uses his claw, pins Ferno down by the neck, and using his claws, digs into his neck as he's forcing Ferno's head into the ground. Well, his neck into the ground. As Ferno tilts his head forward, he goes to breathe fire directly onto Krestor, but Krestor uses his other claw and pretty much traps Ferno's mouth shut. Seals Ferno's mouth shut as he goes to breathe fire, only for none of it to leave his mouth and smoke start rising from his nostrils. Krestor smiles at this and forces Ferno's head back into the floor of the arena. Ferno goes to use his claws to slash at Krestor and actually gets 2 good gashes along Krestor's underbelly. Krestor roars in pain over this before letting go of Ferno, as Ferno gets back up, gasping for air. Krestor sees that his the wounds on his stomach are very serious, in fact, as blood is almost gushing out like a waterfall. Ferno shoots a breath of fire directly towards Krestor. Krestor uses the building, knocks the building over with his tail, causing a dust cloud to soon engulf the arena, and the rubble to deflect the fire breath that Ferno shot. Ferno immediately stops with the fire, and whilst the dust is still in the arena, Krestor immediately shoots acid up into the sky, letting it rain down through the dust, where Ferno wouldn't know that it was coming down until it hits him. And that's exactly what happens. Acid continues to land all over Ferno, and he continues to roar in pain from this. Eventually, the dust does dissipate, and as soon as it does, Krestor wastes no time before leaping over the pile of rubble that he created, causing blood to continue gushing out, but he barrels his entire body into Ferno, forcing him against the wall of the arena, wrapping his tail around both of Ferno's claws before pinning them right to the ground, using one claw to pin his neck into the wall of the arena, and his other claw sticking it into Ferno's lower jaw and pinning that towards the wall of the arena. Ferno is now completely and utterly trapped. He has one wing which he can use to try and flap towards Krestor, and as he does, Krestor immediately bites onto the top part of that wing with his jaw with enough force and broke right through the bone, almost like it was nothing. Ferno roars in pain over this, and now struggling to breathe, struggling what to do. He just tries to wave his head around violently to try and think of something to get out of the situation. Eventually, Krestor loosens his grip on Ferno's neck, but still maintains a grip on his head, and with his other claw, grips the head, pulls Ferno's head back forward, and smashes it into the wall of the arena multiple times. Each time Ferno feels his head getting smashed into the wall of the arena, he feels blood dripping down his neck, the back of his neck, down his scales onto the floor. As Krestor sees this, he just laughs as he continues to smash Ferno repeatedly into the wall of the arena, over and over again, showing little to no mercy. The spectators are shaking in their seats as they're feeling the entire arena shake with every smash which Krestor does on Ferno. Eventually, Krestor stops with that and lets Ferno go as he slumps to the ground, his head in a bloody pulp, and Ferno just barely able to catch his breath. As Ferno stands up, in all his remaining glory, he stares down Krestor, and, very short on breath, he tries to build up fire in his stomach to shoot directly towards Krestor. Krestor wastes no time and bends his head down far enough to shoot acid directly towards Ferno. Two of those jets of acid goes right into Ferno's mouth, right when the fire was about to leave Ferno's mouth, and immediately the acid explodes, pushing Ferno back into the wall of the arena and causing all the fire to instantly extinguish, as well as all the acid to explode, knocking Krestor back a bit, but not as badly as it knocks Ferno back. Krestor makes his way up to Ferno, who is now like a fountain of smoke leaving him, with one claw, grabs him by the neck, digging his claws into it, and another claw grabbing onto the top of Ferno's head, digging his claws into Ferno's eyes. He decides Ferno's had enough, and in one swift motion pulls his head up like that, and then Krestor pulls his claw towards him, twisting Ferno's neck, and with a loud snap, louder than what was heard in the previous battle, Ferno's body immediately falls quiet. As Krestor lets go of Ferno's body, his body slumps to the ground as blood continues to pour out of every wound which Krestor inflicted on Ferno. As Krestor makes his way back to his chamber, he uses one of his claws to cover up the wound that was in his on his stomach. As he makes his way back to his chamber, the green on his scales now red. He realizes that he's now at the final and he's got one more battle to do. As Krestor enters the chamber, he feels instant relief, like all of his pain that he felt and injuries that he sustained had just been healed, and now he feels ready and energized to take on his final opponent. So with that, Krestor has won, Ferno has lost. You think Ferno should have won? Please comment below why you think that. How my words final, and Krestor is moving on to the final round. And with that, we have our second finalist, and both our finalists have been revealed now. And yeah, this looks like it's going to be a really good finals. However, with how Krestor won, I gave the victory to Krestor for a few reasons. One, he had, like with Ferno, he had 2 limbs, and whilst Ferno had the flying advantage, Krestor ultimately had more weapons that he had that was close range. Ultimately, the claws can get you so far that Ferno had, but Krestor had claws and a hammerhead along with a tail whip. Ferno only had a tail which he can use, but not as controlled as Krestor's is, and his fangs are strong, but not as strong as Krestor's fangs. So Krestor only won due to his close-up abilities simply being stronger. And with previous battles that Krestor's been in, he realizes that if he makes his opponents lose their vision, then it'll be easier for him to strike with his acid. If they had a counter for his acid, it'll be easier for him to strike with it. And that's exactly what he did, and that is how he won. So with that, Krestor is now in the final and is now facing off his final opponent. So, if you've seen the last semi-final video, you know who the other finalist is. And with that being said, leave in the comments below who you think will win out of these 2 beasts. But with that being said, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe. Press that little notification bell down in the corner below, notification bell down in the corner below. And with that, I'll see you next time.